What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC football channel. The game of the week this week, not only in the SEC, but in the country, is Auburn going on the road to face Florida. Both teams 5-0. Game day is going to be there. This game will be on CBS at 3:30 Eastern Time. The Tigers are 3-point favorites, despite the fact that just last week, I saw a line that had Florida favored by 6.5, so that line has really changed a lot since then. Big part of that is probably because of what Auburn did to Mississippi State this past weekend. Florida has struggled this year. They've got some issues. Auburn has already been through some really tough battles, but they play on the road in the swamp, and that could be the equalizer in this game. I believe I think it was Kurt Herbstreit said that home field advantage is worth 3 to 5 points for Florida, and I believe it. I think it is going to make a huge impact in this game, and it's one that I could really see going either way. ESPN's FBI has Auburn favored in this game. They give them a 53.2% chance of winning. And I'll give you my prediction here in just a second, but we've already broke this game down in a number of different ways. I did a video titled 5 Reasons Why Auburn Will Beat Florida and 5 Reasons Why Florida Will Beat Auburn. And in that video, I looked at the keys to the game for each team and gave you 5 reasons why each team could potentially win. So if you missed that video, go back and check it out, because I go very, very in-depth on really the keys for each team to win that game. But you look at the individual leaders so far this season. Bo Nix has had an up and down season so far, but what I really like about him is after that Oregon game, he's really taking care of the football. He makes very smart decisions, runs, scrambles when he needs to, throws the ball away when he needs to. I think he's amazing as a true freshman. It's amazing that he's able to do some of those things. Now, he hasn't had the greatest passing game so far this season. He had a pretty good game against Mississippi State, but the decision making and things like that, I think, have been excellent for him. Felipe Franks obviously is injured, so you're not going to see him in this game. Kyle Trask has looked solid so far for Florida, but this will be his first real test. Running the football, Jatarvius Whitlow for Auburn has been very solid. He's close to 500 yards already. But for Florida, they have really struggled to run the football. LaMichael Pirine, their best running back, he's averaging like 2-point-something yards per carry, so that has got to improve. If they can't run the football, I don't think they have really any chance to win this game, unless it's just a really low-scoring game and their defense wins it for them. Receiving-wise, you got Seth Williams for Auburn. He has developed into a star. He has been phenomenal. Had a huge game last week against Mississippi State. Van Jefferson, the go-to guy for Florida, but they have more weapons. They can spread it out to other players as well. I would definitely give them an advantage when you look at the receivers. That was actually one of the reasons why I said Florida could win this game, was because of their wide receivers. Auburn also, though, maybe their biggest playmaker is Anthony Schwartz, their biggest playmaker, I should say. So they've got him and they got Williams. Those are the two guys that are going to have the biggest impact, I think, from the wide receiver position for Auburn. And again, with Florida, you got a lot of athleticism, big-bodied receivers that could potentially have a big day against this Auburn secondary. Here's a look at the team stats for each of these teams. I don't think you can read too much into this because of the opponents. Auburn's already played Oregon, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. Florida's played Kentucky. They played Miami. Not necessarily top 25 teams. So don't read too much into this, but it's always nice to look at and compare. Auburn has scored more points per game. Florida's defense has allowed a lot less. And again, take into consideration the opponents there. Now, total yards, Auburn has been better. Their yards passing, Florida has been better. Kyle Trask is going to be more of a pocket passer for the Gators. So look for them to throw it a lot. I think they're going to have to throw it a lot in this game and have some success running it. You look at the rushing attack, Auburn over 100 yards more per game running the football against better defenses. So that is a huge advantage for Auburn in this game. But we're talking about a really good run defense for Florida. You scroll down there, Florida only giving up less than 90 yards per game on the ground. Auburn's giving up less than 100 yards on the ground per game. So both of these run defenses are really, really good. Florida has been better at stopping the pass. But once again, you can't read too much into this because of the opponents that they've faced. Florida hasn't faced really a good passing attack at all. So maybe their secondary isn't quite as good as those numbers would lead you to believe. But they do still have a great secondary. They've had some injuries, and they have a lot of guys coming back for this game, which could be key for them as well. So how do I see this game playing out? Well, I think it's going to be very low scoring. I think both defenses are going to shut down the opposing rushing attack like they have all year long, and it's going to come down to which team can convert on the 3rd and longs. And I say that on almost every game because it is so important. Staying ahead of schedule and not getting into 3rd and 12. And with 2 young quarterbacks, it really, there's a lot of emphasis in that in this game, in my opinion. You've got to be able to move the football. You've got to be able to, on 1st and 2nd down, you've got to get yourself in 3rd down situations where you have the option of running the football. You can't be in obvious passing situations, because if that is the case, especially for Florida, that defensive line for Auburn is going to get after Kyle Trask, and it will be a long day. He's not really a runner. He's not a statue back there, but he's not a dual threat guy. And some of the dual threat quarterbacks that Auburn has faced this year have given them some trouble running the football, scrambling. He doesn't really bring that element. So if they are in 3rd and 10 consistently, it's going to be a long day. And I think it will be a long day really for both offenses. I think with Bo Nix and Auburn, his ability to scramble on some of those 3rd downs could really make a difference for them, keeping some of those drives alive. I think both teams will move the ball fairly well between the 20s. I think because of the offensive minds we have in this game, and Gus Malzahn and Dan Mullen, they'll figure some things out. They'll be able to move the ball a little bit. They'll have maybe some trick plays, things like that. Some ways to get the ball down the field. But I think when it clamps down into the red zone, that's when you'll see the strength of these defenses. So I just see this game being very low scoring. Bo Nix and the Auburn Tigers, he's a true freshman, but they've been through battles already. They faced Oregon. They were down in that game and came back. That showed me a lot about this team, their ability to come back in that game. That was huge for me. Seeing them against Texas A&M get off to the fast start, and if they're able to do that against Florida, I think they blow them out. I really do. I think Auburn, if they can take the crowd out of this game will not be close, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Florida defense will be ready. They will slow down the Auburn attack early on, and it will be a low-scoring game. The pressure, who's got the most pressure in this game? I think it goes to Auburn because they're favored in this game, and they have to have this win. They still have Georgia, Alabama, LSU on the schedule, so that pressure could definitely make it tough on them coming in here. Will it be enough to make them fold in this one? I don't think so. Again, I've seen from Bo Nix as a true freshman what he is able to do, what he was able to do to bring them back against Oregon after having a bad game, throwing a couple of interceptions. I see this game kind of playing out similar to that. Again, I think both defenses will play pretty solid in the red zone. We're going to see some field goals in this one. But I think that Auburn is going to find a way to survive on the road because of their defense and because of the weakness on the offensive line for Florida and their inability to run the football. I think Auburn's defense forces Florida into more 3rd down and longs. Auburn maybe doesn't have quite as many of those 3rd down and longs. And Bo Nix is able to pick up a few first downs with his feet, and that becomes the difference in this game. I think Dan Mullen will have the Florida offense prepared. They'll have some wrinkles in here, and they're going to hit some big plays, maybe through the air, and that will be enough to keep them in this game. But when it comes down to the 4th quarter and needing to keep a drive together to maybe win the game, I like Auburn in that situation. So I'm going to take the Auburn Tigers to win this game in a close one. 20-16 is my prediction. Auburn over Florida. Again, I think this game will be close, very close. I think Florida probably will have a lead at halftime. We'll say the score might be 10-7 at halftime or something like that. But then Auburn is able to come back. They get the lead early in the 4th quarter, and then their defense shuts down the Florida offense enough to where they can hold on and win. That's just kind of my prediction for this game, how I see it playing out. Obviously, there are a lot of different ways it could go. It could be close. It could go to Florida, and it could be a blowout. I think Auburn's more likely to blow out Florida in this game, but it wouldn't shock me even to see Florida blow out Auburn if they come out and have a hot start and force a couple of turnovers. This thing could get away from Auburn. The crowd could get into it, and even Florida could win this game by 2 touchdowns or more. So it's tough to predict, but I'm going to go with Auburn because I just trust them a little bit more based off of what I've seen this season, their ability to win some big games in some hostile environments. Florida hasn't looked quite as good. Yes, they beat Miami, who's not looking that great right now. Yes, they survived against Kentucky, even though they got outplayed most of that game. I just think Auburn's the better team, and I think they're good enough to even go on the road and get this win. What do you all think about this game? What's your prediction? Give me your score prediction. Auburn or Florida, who wins it? I'm looking forward to this matchup. It is the first big-time matchup in the SEC, and it kicks off again at 3:30 Eastern Time on CBS this Saturday.